as well as the world, is unaware of the extent of our history. And as far as we know of our history is when we came to the shores of America. But our history extends long before then. When we make an attempt to learn anything about ourselves before we came to this country, the children of Ham's history is given for us. The children of Ham are the people that we refer to as Africans. And even though we may resemble the children of Ham, we are a totally different people. And when they do speak of our history, they give credit to another people. They give the credit to the children of Esau. The children of Esau are the people that we refer to or that the world accepts as Jews today. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and take a look at humanity from its beginning. And we're going to find out where we come into the picture at. And once we find out where we come into the picture, then we're going to track our history down from that point to this present time. Now, I don't know if everybody can see it or not, but I have this little diagram up here on the board to start us off with. And humanity starts with Adam and Eve. Adam was the first man formed by God. And Adam and Eve begat Cain, Abel, and Seth. Cain killed Abel, and the Lord disinherited Cain, and humanity continued on through Adam and Eve's son Seth. Noah is of the lineage of Seth. And Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And in the days of Noah, the Lord caused the flood to come and destroy the earth. So on this side of the flood, the whole world was repopulated from Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Noah is our direct link on the other side of the flood to Adam and Eve. So Ham is the father of the children that the world know as Africans. Japheth is the father of the children that the world know as Gentiles or either white people. And out of the lineage of Shem, you get Abraham. And the Bible refers to Abraham as the Hebrew. Not that he was a Hebrew, but they refer to him as the Hebrew, because the word Hebrew means wanderer. And the Lord called Abraham to come out of the land of his nativity, which is Ur of the Chaldeans. And the land of Ur is in present-day Iraq. And he caused him to come into a land that he didn't know nothing about, which was the land of Canaan, Ham's oldest son. And he was going to give Ham's oldest son, Abraham, to Abraham for possession. And out of Abraham, you get Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael is the father of the Arab nation. And out of Isaac, you have Esau and Jacob. Esau is referred to as Edom and his descendants as Edomites, and these are the people that the world accepts as Jews today. And out of Jacob come the 12 tribes, because Jacob's had 12 sons and one daughter, and the Lord changed Jacob's name from Jacob to Israel. And his 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's here that our history began. So you see how close and how far back we go? Because we are only a handful of generations down from Adam and Eve where we come into the picture. And we're going to pick our history up from Jacob and his 12 sons. Now, we'll go into Genesis, the 25th chapter, to start off. Genesis 25, and we're going to start reading at verse 19. Genesis 25 and 19. All right, my brother, go ahead.
And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
So now Rebekah was barren. She couldn't have children. And her husband went and prayed to the Lord on her behalf, and he opened up her womb and allowed her to conceive. And the children, the Bible says, struggled within her. So I guess that was a pretty rough pregnancy that she was having. And she was questioning in her mind that if this is a blessing from the Lord, why am I having such a hard time with this? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And this is what the Lord told her. Continue at verse 23.
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Now, this is Isaac that we're reading about. And the 2 children that was in his wife's womb was Esau and Jacob. And the Bible tells you that even though these are brothers, he said you get 2 manner of people in your womb. And you're going to have 2 nations of people. So even though Esau and Jacob are brothers, they are going to be different from one another. You're going to have a nation that's going to come out of Esau, and you are going to have a nation that's going to come out of Jacob. And he said the elder, which will be the firstborn, he is going to serve the younger. Now go ahead on and read.
24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
There were twins in her womb, and all twins are not identical. In this case, we had fraternal twins. 2 births out of 2 separate eggs instead of 2 births out of 1 egg that was divided. Go ahead on and read.
And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
So the firstborn of Isaac was Esau. And the Bible have already said that the elder was going to serve the younger. So therefore Esau is prophesied to take care of his brother Jacob. Go ahead on and read.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
So Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So he was, 60 years old when he gave birth to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go into the 35th chapter of Genesis, because we have our grandfather here, or either the father of our nation here, Jacob. And we're going to see what happened to Jacob. Genesis chapter 35, and we're going to start reading at verse 9. Genesis 35 and 9. All right, my brother, go ahead.
And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padanaram, and blessed him. And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
So the Lord changed Jacob's name from Jacob to Israel. And Israel means a prince with power, with God and man. And the Lord bestowed that honor upon our father Jacob. Continue to read.
And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land.
And the land that he gave to Abraham and Isaac was none other than the land of Canaan, which is present-day Israel. That is our homeland. That is our motherland. And even though that land is on the continent of Africa, that does not make us Africans, because we did not come out of the lineage of Ham. We came out of the lineage of Shem. So now, we are strangers and pilgrims here in America. But our homeland is the land of Israel. Now, Jacob had his first son in 1760 BC. He had his last son in 1732 BC. He had 12 sons and he had 1 daughter in the period of 28 years. So our present year is 2012. And Jacob's last son was born in 1732 BC. You add these together, it'll give you 3,744 years. 3,744 years from this present date, the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel were in place. We've only been in this country less than 400 years, but our history starts back 3,744 years ago, and we don't have a clue as to the biggest part of our history. But we're going to fill in the blanks today. One of the fathers of Israel is Joseph. Joseph was born in 1745 BC. He was sold into slavery by his brothers to the Midianites, and the Midianites in turn sold Joseph into Egypt in the year 1729. He was 16 years old at this time. He was made a ruler in Egypt in 1715 BC at the age of 30 years old. So let's look at something here. We have our present year to date of 2012, 1715 BC. Joseph was made ruler in Egypt. That was 3,727 years ago. 3,727 years ago, a member of our family rose to be the second ruler in the most powerful civilization on the face of the earth at that time. But we never hear nothing about that because this is attributed to Ham's history. They don't give it to us. Now, let's go into the Bible to back this up. Let's go into the book of Psalms, the 105th chapter. Psalms 105. And we're going to start reading at verse 17. Psalms 105 and verse 17. All right, my brother, go ahead.
He sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant.
He sent a man before them because there was a famine in the land of Canaan. And he sent Joseph years before this famine came in to preserve life, unbeknownst to them. And he was sold to the Midianites because his brothers was jealous of him because he was his father's favorite. And the Midianites, in turn, sold him to the Egyptians. So this 17th verse bear that out. But continue to read.
Whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in irons.
So when we came to this country as slaves and they put us in chains and irons, this wasn't nothing new. This is how the whole thing began. Go ahead on and read.
Until the time that his word came, the word of the Lord tried him.
Go ahead.
The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance, to bind his princes at his pleasure and teach his senators wisdom.
Now here go a man that went into Egypt as a slave. And the Lord tried him during the period of his captivity, and he rose to be the second ruler in Egypt to teach the senators of Egyptians wisdom and to bind the people of Egypt at his pleasure. This is a part of our history, and this is what one of our fathers was doing 3,727 years ago when we were kings. See, this is a part of our history we don't know anything about. So now, the book said he sent a man before them, even Joseph, who was sold as a servant down in Egypt. Right. Let's go and take a look at the rest of our family coming down into Egypt, because this took place before our entire family got down there. Let's go back to Genesis. Genesis chapter 46. Because we're going to walk our history down from 1732 BC all the way down to this present time. Genesis 46, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Genesis 46 and 1. All right, my brother, go ahead.
And Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices unto God of his father Isaac. And God spake unto Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes.
So now this is the Almighty God talking to our father Jacob. And he's telling Jacob, fear not to take your children down into Egypt, because it's there that I'm going to make of you a great nation. And I'm going to be with you, and you are going to see your son Joseph, and he's going to lay his hands upon your eyes. Because at this point, Jacob hadn't seen his son since he was 16 years old. Joseph is now 30 years old, and he's ruling in Egypt. Continue at verse 5.
I did do 5.
You did 5? All right, skip down to verse 26. No, you didn't. You did 4.
Sorry about that.
Okay, continue at verse 5.
And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones, and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him.
Now look, our father came down into Egypt with the wagons that Pharaoh provided for us. We didn't go down into Egypt as slaves. We went down into Egypt as guests of Pharaoh, because one of Jacob's sons was a second ruler in Egypt. So we went down into Egypt, free people, and we went down into Egypt because that was the only place that had food at this time, because there was a severe famine over all the earth at this time. And the Lord instructed our father, fear not to go down there, because I'm going to be with you, and you are going to be rejoined unto your son. Skip down to verse 26 and continue.
All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons, wives, all the souls were 66.
66 is 66, right? 66 people don't make a nation.
No.
But the Lord told him, don't be afraid to go down there, because it's there that I'm going to make of you a nation. Go ahead on and read.
And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70.
So there are 70 people that's coming down into Egypt, and we settled in the land of Goshen. And that was one of the most fertile areas in Egypt, where the Lord allowed our fathers to settle when we came into Egypt. Every time the Lord brings us someplace, we don't realize it, but he put us in prime real estate. In all of the metropolitan cities of the world where we are sitting on prime real estate. And we don't appreciate it, and we run out to the suburbs, into the swamp land and soft lands to chase another people, and then they double back and come back to the prime real estate where we were at. The Egyptians was in the desert. They was in the arid desert. They had to travel to get to the Nile Delta and wait for it yearly to overflow its banks so they could have their crops. But we were right there in prime real estate, where it was green, lush, and water. And this is something that we don't even pay no attention to. But we are there as free people, and we are there for a period of 30 years. Now let's go into Exodus chapter 1, because the fathers of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob, that generation died. And before they die, in that 30-year period, they proliferate greatly. Now we have a new Pharaoh that come up that's going to rule the Egyptians, who don't know Joseph and don't know the benefit that Joseph did for his people, the Egyptians. And look at what his mindset was. Exodus chapter 1, we're going to start reading at verse 8. Exodus 1 and verse 8. All right, my brother, go ahead.
Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Now we got a new Pharaoh that rules over Egypt, and his mindset is, the children of Israel who came down here as guests are more and mightier. We done outpopulated the Egyptians. Said, we're going to have to do something with these people lest any war break out, they join with our enemies and take over our land. Right now, we want to be an Egyptian. But back then, the Egyptians knew the difference between the Israelites and their own people. Even though, like I said, we might resemble them, we are two separate people. So he said, we're going to have to do something about this situation. We're going to have to get them up out of the land. Well, they couldn't get us out of the land because the Lord said in that land he was going to make of us a great nation, right? That's right. So this is what they decided to do. Continue at verse 11.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
So they put taskmasters over us, and they worked us real hard, and we built them treasure cities. No different from any other slavery that we've been in any other nation. They work us, and we build their country, and that's the extent of it. So our forefathers has basically built the whole world. He took my water. Why do you take my water? Oh, okay. They don't want to see on TV what type of water we drink, huh? Okay. Okay. I only do this every so often. I ain't used to all of it. Okay. So let's continue on at verse 12.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
The more the Egyptians afflicted us, the more we multiplied and grew. And the Egyptians was grieved because of us. Just like you got the people in this country. The more injustice they do to us, the more we multiply and grow. And they are really grieved because of us. They don't know what to do with us. But we are still here, staring them in the face. Continue to read.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
So this is our very first captivity as a people. And when you look at this captivity, this is no different from the captivity that we came into when we came to this country. It was hard bondage, out in the fields, and it was made with vigor. So now, let's go into the 3rd chapter of Exodus, because this captivity lasted for 400 years. And at the conclusion of this 400 years, or right before the conclusion of this 400 years, the Lord raised up another member of our family that everybody is familiar with, but we don't know that he's related to us. And we're going to look at this member that the Lord raised up. Exodus 3, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus 3 and 1. All right, my brother, go ahead.
Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb.
Now we're reading about Moses here, and Moses is one of us. He came out of the tribe of Levi. And everybody in the world know about Moses, but they don't know that Moses come out of our family. And he kept the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the Midianite, and he came to the mountain of God, even Horeb. Continue at verse 2.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Go ahead.
And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, while the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I.
Now, we just read that the angel of the Lord appeared unto Moses in the bush, right? And the Lord sent his messenger down here to Moses because he's going to give him a message. But when Moses turned to see this sight while the bush was on fire and wasn't burned, the Bible said God called out to him, right? Because God spoke through his angel. This is none other than the angel Gabriel, who stand in the presence of God, speaking as God. And this is what the angel said to our father Moses. Go ahead.
And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground.
Go ahead.
Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God.
Now we have God the Almighty God speaking to a member of our family. This ain't never been done to any other nation on the face of the earth. And we don't know how close we are to God. Well, how close God is to us, because we ain't that close to him as a people. We done drifted way off. But if we find out who we are and what our relationship is with God, and we return back to the point that we were at with our forefathers was there, then maybe things would turn around and be that much better for us. He said that he is the God of thy fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And the book say Moses was afraid to look upon the face of God. That's just how close God was to Moses. Go ahead on and read.
7. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows.
The Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, not just the people or the nation of Israel. He referred to us as his people. We are the children of the Lord. We are his portion out of all the families of the earth. Go ahead on and read.
And I come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land until a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites.
He came to give us a land of all of the children of Ham. All of these names that he just read belong to the children of Ham. And we got that land as a possession. I guess that's why the world want to label us Africans. But we are not Africans. We are Semitic. We're Israelites that come out of the children of Jacob that live in the children of Ham's land. Continue to read at verse 9.
Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is coming to me. And I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Now he's sending Moses to go to the ruler of Israel to tell him to let my people go. Into Egypt, to tell him to let my people go. Now, we came down into Egypt the first place because the Lord appeared to our father and told him to fear not about going down there, right? Other than that, we would have still been in our homeland in the land of Canaan. But the Lord told our father, fear not to go down into Egypt. I will be there with you. Now that I done sent you down here, and I'm making you a nation here, and I'm trying you with this servitude in this period of 400 years, and I've heard your cry, and it's to come up unto me, you have been thoroughly humbled. Now, I'm getting ready to come and bring you back unto myself. I sent you there, I'm going to bring you back. He sent us here, and he will bring us back. You don't have to worry about getting yourself back home or how you're going to get there. Realize how you got here in the first place. It was the hand of the Lord that brought you here, and it's the hand of the Lord that's going to deliver you. Woe unto the man who put his trust in man and make it flesh his arm. You ain't got to depend on no man to deliver you. Be it one of our own activists or civic leaders or either the president of this country or another country. They didn't bring us here. They can't take us out of it. The Lord brought us here. It's the Lord who is going to deliver us. Only thing you got to do to know what's going to happen tomorrow is understand what happened yesterday. The Lord sent us down to Egypt, and the Lord said, I'm going to send you, Moses, to go down there and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. I'm getting ready to bring them out. So now the Lord brought 10 plagues on Egypt before Pharaoh was convinced to let us go. And after he brought that last plague on Pharaoh, right before he did this, this is what he told Israel to do. Let's skip over to the 11th chapter of Exodus. Exodus chapter 11. Because we've been slaves in Egypt for 400 years. We have spent a total of 430 years in Egypt. 30 years as free people, 400 years as slaves. No work, no pay, no money. Just like we are now. We work, we get paid, but we still ain't got no money. Because the money that we got don't belong to us. As soon as we think we got a little something accumulated, they find a way to take it from us. Because it belonged to them. We are actually operating by permission, and we don't know it. We don't realize it. We think that we have done something, and we haven't done anything. The Lord is still directing this show. Exodus 11, we're going to start reading at verse 1. All right, my brother, go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether.
Because that last plague that the Lord is going to bring on Egypt is death. And death is something that gets everybody's attention. I don't care who you are, what race, nationality you are. I don't care how bad you think you are. Death gets everybody's attention. And the Lord brought the last plague on Egypt, which was death. And when I start killing these people, and they don't realize why they dying, because they're not getting shot, they're not getting beat up, or nothing like that. They just dying what they call mysteriously. And they know it's because of y'all, they're going to get rid of you guys altogether. Continue in verse 2.
Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold.
Go ahead.
And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people.
So Moses rose to be great amongst the Egyptians, just like Joseph rose to be great amongst the Egyptians. And whatever Moses say, not only went for the children of Israel, it went for the Egyptians too, because they listened to Moses. Go ahead on and read.
And Moses said, Thus saith the Lord, About midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts.
So the Lord is getting ready to kill everything, man and beast, and he's going to start from the top, from Pharaoh's house. Go ahead on and read.
6. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know how the Lord does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
You see that? The Lord is getting ready to come down here and knock off the most powerful civilization on the face of the earth. And when he do this, he said, not even a dog is going to wag his tongue at any of the children of Israel, not against man or beast, because I want these Egyptians to know that I make a difference between them and the children of Israel. I don't care how close they look like you and how well they resemble you, they are not the same. It's the difference. You didn't want us here, and now I'm getting ready to take them out your house. But I'm going to punish you before I remove them for the way that you treated them these last 400 years, because they came down here as guests in your house, and they have built your house. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Now he's getting ready to break Egypt's back. Now, let's go down to the 19th chapter of Exodus. Exodus chapter 19. Because he sent Moses down there to deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt. And he told Moses that once you get them out of Egypt, I want you to bring them right back to this very mountain where you seen the bush burning. Exodus 19, we're going to start reading at verse 1. All right, my brother, go ahead.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount.
Before the same mount that Moses seen the bush burning, and the Lord gave him the job to go down and deliver his people. It took him 3 months to get there after they came out of Egypt, right? Mm-hmm. Continue at verse 3.
And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
You see what the Lord told Moses to tell us? You seen what I did to the Egyptians. I did that. All of that drama and terror that happened in Egypt, I brought that so that I could deliver you out of that captivity that I put you in, so I could bring you back here to myself. Go ahead on and read.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
So the Lord then made an example out of us. He have humbled us with captivity for 400 years in Egypt. He have shown all of his mighty power before us on Egypt. Now he tells us that if you will be obedient and hear my voice and keep my covenant indeed, then I will go make you a peculiar treasure unto me, because all of the earth is mine. But I'm getting ready to make an agreement with you, just like I made an agreement with your father Abraham and with your father Isaac and with your father Jacob. Now this is the agreement. Go ahead on and read.
6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Because this is what the Lord wants us to be. He wants us to be a kingdom of priests unto him. What do priests do? Priests teach the rest of the sons of Adam. I want you to be the teachers of the world, because I have revealed myself unto you. And I want you to be a holy nation, because I'm holy. These are the words that you shall speak unto the children of Israel. So Moses came and told this to our fathers. And what did we respond to Moses? Go ahead on and read.
7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him.
Go ahead.
And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord.
So our forefathers went into a covenant with God. God, this is what you want, then this is what you're going to have. We will obey. Now, that wasn't just for them, because when you go into a covenant with God, it is a perpetual covenant. And we are still under the covenant that our forefathers in the days of Moses made with God. God don't break his covenant, and we can't break it. We still have to do all that he have said. And all that he have asked us to do is to just teach the rest of the world about him. But we can't teach the rest of the world about him because we don't know him. Because we have turned our back on him to serve other gods. Gods of wood and stone, gods that don't have no profit. The God of Sunday, whose God is that? The God of Christmas and Easter, whose God is that? The God of going to heaven, whose God is that? All gods that have no profit. They didn't deliver us out of Egypt. The true and living God did.
I will exalt him, his name adore.